Alright, welcome to episode 20. Oh no, 30. Oh my god, it's episode 30. I should do that because doing every 10 episodes is a pretty big war. That's kind of the plan for this series. I think it's a cool plan. Maybe it's a bit predictable, but it should be fun. So, in the last episode, then, we had mostly a big war happen over here in Poland. So, that was good. We saw all the Polish, whatever this called countries, Holy Polish Empire nations go to war with each other. Yeah. And the four countries who won were Denmark, the blue East German country, Slovakia, and Poland. So they've all become pretty large now. You look pretty cool. I actually like your borders a lot. If we united Denmark and the blue country, that would look cool. The red country is pretty big and Poland's pretty big. So you now have four countries in this alliance. And I mean, Denmark also colonized some more stuff. We saw some colonization over in America. Let's just do this. What was that sentence? Let's do this now, because otherwise I'll forget. So first off, we're going to go to the Spanish. They are going to be colonizing the remainder of the Lesser Antilles island chain. So, yeah, let's do that. I've also been testing the idea of, like, in case this audio doesn't record, if I use a voice recorder thing, I can just import that audio and use that. Maybe that'll work, hopefully. And then going over to the Salmon country, they're going to colonize the entirety of Cuba. I don't know how quickly to do the colonization. I don't know what the pace should be for this. So that's a good point. Actually, you don't get that island. Sorry, mate. So you go. There's our colonization. Except for Denmark, we forgot about the Danes, and Denmark is going to be doing something pretty cool, and that is colonizing more of Greenland. So yeah, good for the Danes, I guess. Woohoo! That brought you literally nothing economically, but there you go. The colonization in today's episode isn't going to be crazy because there's more things to happen. We also had a war in Spain, which means that Spain is now... I didn't upgrade that, did I? Upgrade, I mean, I didn't edit this. Power rankings at this point should be number 1 Persia, number 2 Central Asia, number 3 Hijaz, number 4 Mesopotamia, then it's Bulgaria in 5th, then it's Carthage 6th, should be Korea in 7th, Denmark in 8th, 9th, Spain, and 10th, Greece. So Bengal, you're not actually on the top 10 anymore. And it's also like the 1530s at this point, so yeah, don't worry about that. I said that literally every single episode we looked at power rankings, which I find funny. Alliances, but that's not up to date. I need to update stuff, I think. Anyway, let's go over to our war. I butchered that because we're going to go into the Persians today. What's Persia doing? Well, they're on a little bit of a conquest right now. Who are the Persians going to be fighting? Stop asking me so many questions. How will you find out, mate? Persia will be invading India today. So they begin their invasion over into Western India. They just want to get this country gone. They're not even a top 10 power anymore. So it shouldn't be too tricky for the Persians to wipe this country out. They take the capital. They also have these other... Let's just decrease the size of this brush because these countries are not strong. Their allies also helping out. They're not that strong, really. So, I mean, they do some stuff. They're reasonably powerful, I guess. The Green Country will also help out here in the south as well, defending this city and just invading the Indian country. So there we go. Here's that war. And to be honest, it goes pretty well for Persia. They make a landing over here in Gujarat, even though that's not necessary, taking this city and making their way along the southern coast, kind of towards Mumbai, but Mumbai's over here. This city is not Mumbai. They also head out towards this city. Pretty good spearhead over there. Take over this entire peninsula. Oh no. Is it just continuously recording? Never mind. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna lose a little audio there. Sorry. And they also take over this city. So the war in India is going very well for the Persians. They're just been pretty successful with this. Their allies are actually doing stuff, which is crazy because their allies are not really strong countries at all. They're not like top 15, top 20. I don't know how many countries there are, but they're definitely not within the top group. However, the Persians will learn of a plot between two countries, kind of likely countries, I guess, as the Mesopotamians and the Central Asians, who have worked together quite a lot in the past, will be working together again. There we go. These two countries will be going along the trade routes, which will look a bit like this, I guess. So I'm going to go up through Turkey, into Caucasia, up around here, then going over towards Central Asia, where we're meeting in the capital city. They send emissaries and stuff, and the entire idea with this is to form a coalition against the purple Persian country. Makes sense. However, the Persians will learn of this, and they're like, oh no, we really need to avert that. So the plan of the Persians is do things to stop them from, working against you. And to stop the Central Asians, they will invade Tehran. That's not very nice. Invading Tehran, not necessary. I'm worried I'm just going to forget that colour. So, what? They invade Tehran. They do not kill the religious leader, because that's like the pope of this entire religion. And then they also invade the red team, because why not? So they push around, take this city. They also mostly plan their spearhead towards the capital city, which they will surround. This is pretty bad if you're the red team. I mean, like, you're the fourth strongest country. You're meant to be better than this. And they also invade around these lakes and stuff, taking this territory. Just like, right, we learn of your plot. If you declare war on us, we will properly invade your country. We're just occupying some stuff. We will actually invade if you declare war on us. So don't do that. You wouldn't want to do that, would you? No. Something to also be reminded of is the Persians have an alliance with these two Indian countries, these two South Indian countries, and these two Arabian countries. So that's cool. And for a while, this war kind of just stays where it is. The Persians continue to invade India, which just goes well because India's not that strong really anymore. Until something bad happens for the Persians. And that is a civil war that occurs within the Pink Country. So, head over to the Pink Country. Let's see, civil war group. Oh, wait a second. Oh my god. Civil war group number 1. I don't even need to draw it like this. Why am I doing that? I don't even know. Oh my god. I might just be stupid. Never mind, guys. Never mind. This is just so much easier way of doing it. So this first group is kind of based around here. It is a religious group aiming to create a theocracy within kind of the deserts of this area. The second group is a monarchist group. Their ambitions lie mostly within just recreating the old monarchy of the Pink Country. That kind of died out before. It got replaced with those Iranian sort of people, and they don't like that. So they were to recreate the old dynasty. It still exists. It's just the newer dynasty got merged with the Persian kings. So that kind of meant that it was less UAE, Oman sort of lineage. So they want to recreate that. So the civil war occurs in this country, and the red team does surprisingly well for the fact they don't really control much territory up here in the north. They single out this area, but then the gold team takes over that. The gold team will connect these territories. As for the pink team's pushback, they do manage to push back the gold team in this area entirely, actually. This bit, no, you're not meant to have that. The gold team does struggle to push up in these northern regions just because there's more people there. They do take that island though. However, the pink team has a lot of their military forces around here, mostly because this is the bit near Iran, and they actually managed to separate off both of these areas, which is separating this into 3 different pieces, which is kind of how it was before, I think. So yeah, this isn't great, but there's a civil war here now, and Iran needs to do stuff to stop the civil war, which they're kind of bad at doing. They are really struggling to do this. The red team forces will relink up here and eventually color around towards this major city. Luckily, the capital is very far away. That's very good for you guys. And these guys are just taking land the other groups want. So that's bad. But Persia does kind of manage to just calm it down a bit. They protect the cities. They're like, yeah, we need to just stop fighting, guys, because we don't want our ally to go down. And something else bad happens. It stabilizes for a bit. They invade India. They just occupy this stuff. But then something bad happens. And it's Hijaz joining the war. The Persians did not expect Hijaz to join the war, because Hijaz, they'd be saying the red team if they did this. And they will start an invasion into this country. Also, if you're wondering why the red team is doing so well, it might be down to this guy, who's actually a reasonably strong country. Anyway, Hijaz is the 3rd strongest country in the world at this point. So they don't really have a tricky time pushing through this desert. And they do exceptionally well at invading towards the blue country, getting very close to taking this major city over here. And although there is a bit of pushback because their front lines in this area are rubbish, and it's just one massive spearhead, they're doing kind of well. They also spawned a second spearhead towards this area and towards taking this major city. And yeah, everything's going to go badly for the Persians now. The red team, seeing that Persia is completely overstretched and the Persian troops are kind of retreating over near their capital, will make a pretty effective pushback against this territory, taking back a lot of this stuff. And what happens over in this area? Well, the Pope of the Blue Team religion is killed. The Blue Team then actually joins the war. They're like, dude, that's a bit too far, mate. So they will invade towards this area. How they do not recapture the Tehran territory. They will also push around in the south. They send a lot of their troops in. Everyone in this country is kind of annoyed. I might just re-say that. Everyone in this country is annoyed, by the way, if you can tell, because I just deleted that audio, I think. They also invade around in these other sort of like pocket areas where they kind of surround it a bit. And this land isn't, not many people live here, so it's not too hard to push around there. The Persians do continue their invasion into this country, India, that is. Just goes pretty well, really. They take another major city, and the north are kind of deferring over to their allies, which is probably a good idea. The allies can almost definitely deal with this, can't they? Green country. The Green country actually does a good job at dealing with this, and the Indian country is just left as this long eastern corridor, so that's weird. Over in this rebellious territory, then, the gold team does a lot better now, seeing as, they're not really funding them, but they're kind of their own country, in a way. The red team also does a pretty effective pushback, even retaking a lot of this land and going towards the core areas of the pink team, back over to the other red team. Yeah, they're invading Persia now. So they start their invasion into the northern areas, and that goes reasonably well. They actually take this lake over here, and they also take back this area, which they took back a while ago, just didn't really show it. They push back into some of these occupied areas, but finally Persia is going to lock in and start their invasion. They take the capital of the red team. That's pretty extreme. The coastal areas of the red team over in the east are also captured. That's kind of the blue team doing that, but the blue team is also not in a good spot. So I'm just going to count it as the Persians, because that's simpler. They also take another major city. This area is surrounded for a bit, and they do that. Hijaz isn't actually defending the red team, which is interesting and not good for the red team. However, the red team's occupation of this area will continue, albeit pushed back quite significantly, but it does continue their occupation in this area. Central Asia, though, that's the main threat for the nation of Persia, because they are very scary. There's quite a few people in this country now, and although there's a reasonable power gap between these two countries, Central Asia is leading a full border invasion into your country. They also separated off connections between these two cities, and they now surrounded this one and taken it. They did a similar thing over here, and it's really not going well for you guys. So, you need to finish off India, I guess. Well, I guess I know. Ending this front is going to be very useful to the Persians, and they do that, which means they can kind of just conscript these people into their military, which is nice, because their allies aren't doing anything. Now, the Hejaz country, their front lines are terrible. They're really, really bad. However, they're doing work in pushing back the blue team, and they get very close to the Gulf, the Persian Gulf. They are pushed back in these areas, down here in the south, just because there's random pockets of stuff. However, Indigo country joins, and that helps out a lot. They take over a lot of this area, and they push up over here in the north, as they've now declared war on Persia. They even invade towards Qatar, take over this country entirely, well, that peninsula, I guess, and the green Hejaz country will finally take over the capital city, along with Bahrain and all this stuff. It means there's a pretty significant pushback by the red team. This isn't Hejaz troops helping out over here, it's just the red team, there's less blue team troops fighting over here, because they also got sent back home. As for Persia, they didn't really send anyone over here to fight there. But now the blue team actually, or Indigo country, has all their troops actively fighting. The red team will do a lot better. Actually, the pink team is just going to full-on collapse. Also, I'm just going to put them on some islands, I think. I can't do that. I can't even do that. Okay. Because the gold team will take over their core territory, eventually taking the capital city, which the Persians will abandon. And with that, the gold team claims the re-establishment of the old pink team. So that looks something like this. And now they ask the red team to reunite with their country and reform the old pink team, but under better government, as the pink team starts an invasion into the Persian country. So that really backfired. How the red team will not act on this, but will instead actually just also move into Persia, taking this major city and all this other territory. They've got a lot of funding from the Indigo country, who's not really sending that many troops into the red team area. There's only a few, but they're all just dying over here, so there's not much point. India's not really moving at all, and Indian troops from occupied India and these two countries are now being sent over, including these two countries, which was a bad idea. Yeah, Persia just said, hey, you guys send your troops. They're like, what if you get invaded by the red and the orange teams? So, well, if you do that, your troops are not going to save you. You have no military. It's really not going to stop you from losing. There's no point. And yeah, they get invaded. That was predictable. And the red team and the orange team just mix them all up. As for that, after that, the red team will start its invasion to reinstate the old Indian country. They've had some bad relations with them before, but that was when they were under a Persian-led government, and now the red team's kind of just like, meh. They're alright, I guess. So they reinstate the old Indian country down here in the south, with, I suppose, this city becoming the capital. Pretty cool. And Persia is not having a good time. However, they're going to vent their anger on the red team as they invade towards the central Euphrates territory, so that's good. Taking another major city, and the red team is really not doing well. This is very bad for the red team. They even lose ground up here in the north, in these sort of Turkish areas, or real-life Turkish areas, and this means the Persians can extend their front line all the way across the border of the red team, but this does come at a cost, and the cost is pretty big. It's the blue team reconnecting, well, after like a few thousand years, I guess, with the Tehran area. So that's bad. You do not want that to happen. They're going to reinstate, of course. Oh no, I got rid of the orange team's color. I guess we'll just imagine this is their old color. That's near enough. They reinstate that country as a real thing, and they kind of just wanted to unify with them. There will be a pushback against the blue team over in these eastern areas. That's based on the fact that these Indian troops are just being sent over here. However, this is not major territory. It's really just unassimilated territory, so you don't really need that a whole lot. And it's not saving the Persians from anything. Hejaz is military. It's just staying, occupying this territory. And in fact, the Indigo country will defer a lot of this land over here to them because the red team just went to war with the pink team. Now, the pink team, they just send in all the stuff to occupy this area. And the red team's like, oh, you're just handling that for me. And it's like, nah, we're going to invade your country from here. So take this major city and invade across this area. And also try to link up around here. But the Indigo country is having none of that. And they invade in towards this bit. We have a separate war going on, in a way, between these countries. And that was not what the pink team expected. They didn't think the Indigo country cared that much about this random rebellion. How the random rebellion is actually doing kind of alright. Yeah, that's all good and stuff. But the red team's just losing. They're not doing very well. Their front currently hold up, and the blue team, the Indigo country, is actually now sending more and more troops to the red team because the red team's made it cool for all people of their religion to help them out. They're really not doing well, and this seems like more of a priority than saving this random territory within the pink country. So because of that, yeah, they're going to send their troops up north. The Mesopotamians are really just not having a fun time. Yeah, Central Asia though. Central Asia is occupying all of these mountains. Good job, Central Asia. Well done. You've occupied every mountain that you can. Moving on over to this area though. It looks like the Indian front is going pretty well for the red team, and until Persia just slaps back with this invasion, they sent a lot of their troops from this front line, which is why that went so badly, to go fight over here, and that was unexpected, to say the least, and now they're invading into the red country. The red team's like, no, we're not meant to be doing that, and they push down very close to the capital city of the red team. They also take these two major cities over here in the east, or north, I guess, better description, and finally take the capital city, and the orange team support role is absolutely rubbish. What are you doing? You're meant to be helping your ally. You're really not being that helpful. However, a front line is established around here, and we kind of just hold this territory, so that's good. And yeah, here's the front lines of the war at the moment. The pink team is actually becoming quite a major area, but in the end, the Indigo country will allow the Pink country, if they help fight the Persians, to reinstate their nation as it was before. With some territorial concessions, like the extremely zealous areas in the country that are very, very religious and want to be incorporated into the Indigo country at the end of this war. But now all these troops are getting sent up to the Red Team, and something very big happened on the Red Team front, and that is that Hejaz just joined this war. Well, officially kind of joined the war. So Hejaz troops, which are some of the best trained and equipped troops in the entire world, will start to move in on the Red Team front, and this changes everything. They get very close to Baghdad and recovering that city, and Red Team troops that are kind of close to these sort of not very developed areas will do very well in taking those areas back. We actually see a Green Team invasion into Hejaz, Persia, around in these areas near Kuwait, and they invade across this coastal area. The Indigo country will lead an invasion along with the Pink Team into this territory, and yeah, that's not going great for you. However, there is one more trick up the sleeve of the Persians, and that is just barrel into this stuff. So, the Persian front in India is still going pretty well, and they're just conscripting people to even if they're not actually going to fight, they have to stand in the front lines in these wars and just be used as human shield, which is a bit mean. And by a bit mean, I mean very mean. How the Persians will make it their priority to destroy Tehran and anything the Blue Team loves, to send a load of their military in here. That comes at a bit of a cost, but they hope they can knock out Central Asia maybe just by killing loads of people in the Orange Team, which is occupied. I just wanted to show it. So that happens. The Red Team will recover all their major cities, especially this one in the north finally, and after that the Red Team can recreate their invasion into the northern areas of the Persian country. But yeah, there's a huge massacre going on in the blue country, or orange country, so that's not good. So the Blue Team will give up on these fronts and just send everyone crashing into this area, and they recover that. So now how's everything going for Persia? Well, the Red Team front down here in India just completely failed. The Indigo troops are now working their way towards your capital city. The Red Team has been fully liberated, and it looks like India could be next, because a load of councils just joined this war. The Blue Team, the Pinkish country, the Salmonish country, and Bengal have all just joined the conflict. India is currently getting liberated by these forces, and the Blue Team is actually doing stuff. We see the Blue Team invade through here, but they're kind of just a gateway for these other countries to go through. The Salmon country is the main one invading this greenish country. Well, not the main one, but they hold the front line to the greenish country. And the bluish country, that is not helpful. The Blue Team over here, I don't know what area of India that is, will also do a similar sort of thing, pushing over to the border of the beige country. This is very sped up, it's not this quick. But Bengal is the 11th strongest country, so maybe it's more believable if you count that in. The Green Team, of course, loses all occupied territory in this area that is now deferred over to India, well, kind of occupied by Bengal and other countries like that, but the Indians eventually get control over it. The Salmon country will take over all of this land, which is good for them. The beige country recalls all of its troops from this cityless territory, which isn't worth occupying. The Indians, with Red Team naval help, will manage to relaunch an invasion into Gujarat and take over most of the peninsula, getting towards their capital city, and then finally taking the entire thing. Over here in the beige country, India will start their own invasion. I'm not sure they can do that, but they've probably got enough people, I guess. There's a lot of people here, don't worry. The Blue Team will also invade in the south, not really necessary, but they do. Ow. So they take over all this stuff, which is not entirely realistic for the Blue Team. As I said before, it's mostly Bengal who's carrying this conflict for this entire council team. The Salmon country helps to invade in the north, and finally Persia will be fully pushed out of India, so bye-bye to them. And now India can properly start an invasion into the Persian country, who is just collapsing at this point. They start to invade into these western areas, eastern areas of the Persian country, take this major city, take this one, and over here in the east, they're kind of good, just let the other council countries occupy the beige team, because they're not that important to the war as a whole. The Blue Team can retake these cities, which is just constant fighting going on in these northern cities over here. They connect up with the Indian front line, taking over all this stuff. And now we just have so many people fighting over here at once. the Persians will finally lose all their occupied territory in the red team, and now the red team is going to begin a full-on invasion into Persia, taking all this stuff. They connect with the Hijaz front line. They're kind of sad they missed out on getting this stuff. But Hijaz is doing a lot of work, and this is pleasing the red team, because maybe their relations will be better in the future, even though the red team hates them. So, yeah. The Indigo country is actually the one closest to the capital city, which is interesting. And the blue team works very well in taking over this entire sort of corridor area of the Persian country. They take over all this land, the central sort of territory. I think this might be a trade route, maybe, through here. Or maybe just random cities, who knows. Finally, the Indigo country nears the capital city of Persia, whilst over in the east, Persia's fate is sealed. The Indians are coming very quickly, as literally all of India pretty much. And finally, the yellow team will also join the war. This is this country, this country, this country, this country, this country. Orange, red. All these guys are invading now. And in the end, we see a combined force of Hijaz and the Indigo country and the pink country, I suppose, take the capital city of Persia, and this country just got completely occupied. So there we go. Here is the end of the, I don't know what to call this, the Persian War, I guess, maybe. Yeah, that was pretty cool. The orange team, wrong color, but we're fine. India looks very strange now, and the borders of this area are going to be very changed. The red team, or the Persian country, is no longer going to be such a global power after this. Just think of how many countries want their land, and don't worry. Just as before the war ends, the green country will join the war. Their military gets to about here by the time the war ends, but they were prepared to help. They were going to save their blue team religion brethren. So that's just a fun bit of information. I mean, the yellow team, they'll join pretty late, but there's a lot of people in this country, so it's kind of worth it. Bengal, good work from Bengal. Anyway, it's about time where I'm going to end the video now. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe. Comment changes you want to see in the future. And yeah, I guess here's the full world map. Don't worry about that. Persia's fine. They're going to be doing just great in the next episode. So yeah, lots of cool things happening in the next 30, not 30, but the episodes that begin with 30. Anyway, goodbye, have a nice rest of your day, and subscribe.